Well, good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is John Hirschenberg, and I hope you enjoy and get plenty of information from this upcoming webinar. We're very pleased to roll out this new 401k plan, if you will. You'll find that it's very unique, solves a lot of issues associated with offering 401k to your employees. I will add that the plan is available for contractor companies only. So AFSA members that are contractor companies. We have another plan offering that we'll be talking about later on after the first of the year that can help with some of the other member companies. This is for contractors only. But again, what we're talking about here is a different way to offer 401k to your employees, a way that's more efficient, many times more affordable, and less hassle-free than many of the 401k plans out there. This, as a way of introduction, again, my name is John Hirschenberg. I represent Pinnacle Financial Services. We are a third-party administrator, or TPA. To the layperson, we're basically the company that does the record keeping and makes sure all the proper forms are filed each and every year associated with having a 401k plan. So that is Pinnacle. The investment company that we use for this association plan is offered through Transamerica. What is it we're talking about here? It's called a multiple employer 401k plan. Years ago, this type of 401k was blessed by the IRS as a way for very large corporations like Kraft Foods, for example, to be able to offer a way for their smaller affiliated companies to customize the plan at that lower level, but have Kraft Foods responsible for the liability and the administration and whatnot. That same plan design is now offered through trade associations to their member companies. And again, you may hear me mention this a few times, but it's a very efficient way of offering 401k. The plan's called multiple employer because it involves two different types of employers under this arrangement, one being the trade association itself and the other representing the employer company. What's going on here is the employer company that decides to use this 401k is actually co-adopting this plan. That means when your 401k participants receive their quarterly statement, they'll see the name of the plan being the AFSA / so-and-so Fire Protection Company, both names on the 401k, not to confuse any participants at all. So it's designed especially for trade associations, meaning that all the level of administration, all of the investment company, all of the ins and outs, the bells and whistles, the day-to-day activities that come with having a 401k plan are now outsourced under this arrangement and responsible by the trade association, or in this case, AFSA itself. The plan, as I mentioned, is administered by Pinnacle Financial. Pinnacle has been doing this quite some time, nearly 30 years. They've been doing nothing but record keeping on these multiple employer 401k plans. So they're very good at what they do, and when you have us behind the scenes, it helps to keep the plan in compliance, and that's a very good thing. The investments, as I mentioned, are managed by Transamerica. Transamerica has also been doing this a very long time. They're considered one of the leaders in the 401k business, not only from the standpoint of offering to the 401k participants, but also a quality method in which they get the communication out to the participants, provide solid online communication to their participants, and make the plan understandable by the participants that are benefiting most as far as accumulating wealth for their future. What are the main benefits we're talking about here to the member companies who choose to use this AFSA plan? Well, number one, we're talking about reduced plan costs. Over the years, the cost of administration for 401k has gone up and really has become quite an administrative burden within a company. But depending on the size of your plan, there are always costs to the the many things that the Department of Labor and ERISA, by the way, ERISA is the organization that governs all 401k plans in this country. So they have placed a bunch of mandatory items, if you will, on all businesses that choose to offer 401k to their employees. It's not like any other group benefit you'll choose to offer your employees. There are quite a few compliance items. There are quite a few administrative items, and those to do those in the right way cost money. And so either the participants or the employer themselves are paying money to have these 401k plans in place. What we're advocating here is a reduction in those plan costs by using the association's plan. We're also talking about a great reduction in in-house administration, and we'll be drilling down on that throughout this webinar as well. But there are day-to-day things that must be done in 401k. You have employees asking you questions about the plan. You have employees that would like to get loans. The employees that are leaving the business might need a distribution. There are quarterly statements to get out. There are contribution files to prepare. A lot of in-house administration. Well, when a member company is offered an association multiple employer plan such as this one, much of that administration that they were accustomed to doing is now outsourced and is no longer their responsibility. So that's a great benefit associated with a company using a plan like this. There's also a great reduction in what we would call fiduciary liability. Every time you're a business that offers 401k to your employees, you're taking on a certain amount of liability, meaning that you could be sued if you did something wrong associated with that plan. That's fiduciary liability. There's three primary roles that carry all of that exposure that we'll be talking about later on as well. But those roles are, who is the plan sponsor? And in a case where you're a business offering the 401k to your people, your business is the plan sponsor. Number two, who is the trustee? Most of the time, either the owner of the business or maybe their financial person is the trustee of the plan. And who is the plan administrator? That's another personal role within that business that conducts certain responsibilities. There's some exposure there. If something goes wrong, there's some exposure where that gives the participants the ability to go back and sue either one of those three parties. So under this relationship, all of those three roles are now shifted outside of your business and are now the business of AFSA. So there's a great reduction there in exposure. Most savvy business owners are looking to reduce their liability and their exposure any chance they get. So again, this is seen as a wonderful benefit and a different way to offer 401k to your employees. The cost factor. So we're very clear on things. The way this process is going to work, we'll be talking about this later, but when you're interested in using this 401k plan, you'll be dealing with us and we'll be asking for some information, and we'll want to do a side-by-side comparison for you so you can see the cost of this plan versus the cost of your current plan. But with regard to the different layers of costs, number one, there are always employer-paid administrative costs. For a 401k plan, a 5500 form must be filed. That is typically done by either a CPA firm for a cost, or it's bundled into a program where somewhere or another the employer is paying for that 5500 filing. There are testing costs involved that a third-party administrator or a 401k or an investment company, they have to conduct to keep the plan in compliance. There are costs to that. The bottom line is, most of the time, the business owner, the company, is writing a check throughout the year to cover those administrative costs. There are participant-paid administrative costs as well. Many times these are folded into the investments that the participants are offered, and many times you may have heard the term asset charge or wrap fee. These are the fees that are a percentage of the total assets in the plan, and the participants pay for these costs. Our goal all along is to make sure these costs are in line with the services being offered. the investments that are being offered, and ideally we would want to show a reduction in the participant paid cost under this AFSA plan. The other costs we're talking about are investment management fees. These are the fees that each and every different investment fund receives for the buying and selling of stocks and bonds within that particular investment fund choice. These are many times you can find that these are fairly exorbitant fees compared to what the market bears, and it is our goal again to have a very efficient plan that has both reduced investment management fees, reduced participant paid costs, and reduced employer paid costs. The perfect world goal there is for us to reduce all of these costs for members that are coming onto this AFSA plan, and in many cases that certainly is the case. With regard to administration, what are we talking about here? Well, there's different layers of the administration. Number one is the operational piece. These are the administrative items that someone within your business are having to take care of and conduct throughout the year. Dealing with the third-party administrator, completing forms, taking form notices that employees are supposed to have and getting those emailed or mailed out. So there's operational administration throughout the year to keep a 401k plan in compliance. There is investment compliance administration. The organization I told you about, ERISA, is again stacking on more and more work every year for plan sponsors to be responsible for. And of course, under this relationship, that is outsourced. And lastly, there is year-end administration work. The plan needs to be tested, so there is year-end testing involved. That may involve some corrections in the plan that need to be done. That may involve refunds back to highly compensated people that contributed too much because of how the testing came out for that particular plan. And then, of course, there's the IRS filings that are done at the end of the year. Of the laundry list of items I had mentioned that rely on a 401k plan, but this piece can be sent out. This is by Transamerica to clearly show you the responsibilities that you might have with your own 401k, and now how they're outsourced using a multiple employer plan or an MEP. For example, that first layer there, you see administrative responsibilities on the left. We're talking about investing the plan contributions, keeping track of the contribution limits, distribute mandatory communication notices, as I mentioned. When you have your own 401k, you or someone within your business is responsible for those items. To the right, it says who's the responsible party with an MEP. In this case, it says Plan Administrator 316. Under this arrangement, that's Pinnacle Financial. AFSA has hired Pinnacle Financial to do this work. The communication notices, Transamerica is responsible under this multiple employer plan. So you see all these categories of administrative work: distribution processing, approving the hardship request, approving loan requests, coordinating the deductions, processing the distributions. Again, under this relationship, if your business uses the association's plan, Pinnacle and Transamerica are now responsible for it, and you and your business and your people within your business are no longer responsible for it. Due diligence responsibilities, plan compliance, all very, very important compliance issues that ERISA and the Department of Labor takes very seriously. Again, now it's outsourced to us and no longer your responsibility or your liability. Non-discrimination testing that happens throughout the year, annual reporting, enrollment and education, and the participant assistance. Now, these are very important pieces. It's very important, more important than ever, that your plan is properly communicated down to your participants. Participants must have solid information so they can make an educated decision about how to save for their retirement, which investment options to use, where can that participant go for additional information. These are very important points, and rather than anyone within your organization being responsible for those items under a multiple employer plan, under this AFSA plan, we're now responsible. So that is all good news, and again, all parts of benefits of the plan. I mentioned fiduciary liability. It's worth a couple more minutes to just talk about it and kind of get you to the place why we're here in this litigious time in 401k compared to where we were years ago. Again, ERISA is the organization that governs 401k plans in this country, and they have increased the responsibilities for plan sponsors, plan trustees, and plan administrators. Remember, if we leave this phone call and you just remember this, it's an important point. Under this relationship, joining the association's plan, you've now outsourced the role of plan sponsor, plan trustee, and plan administrators. And again, that's where most of the fiduciary liability lies. The Department of Labor also takes this very seriously. Some people say that actually the DOL has created an additional revenue source to look at 401k plans across the country and focus on the plans that they consider out of compliance. Just a few years ago, they had 10 auditors, 10 total across the country to monitor 401k plans. They've now increased that to 1,000. 100 times more than they had before, because again, they take out of compliance 401k plans very seriously, and again, possibly see it as a very good revenue source for their organization. And so they're very serious about this. That tells me it's also a very good time to consider another organization being responsible for the 401k rather than anyone within your own business being responsible. Lawsuits initiated by plan participants are on the rise. We'd have to go back 5 years and get to the real root of this, but in 2008, when the market fell because of the credit debacle and the real estate issues, the market fell by a good 30-40% in this country, which means a lot of 401k nest eggs also lost their value. Think about those people and their plans started to lose money like that. Well, basically, they were looking for someone to sue. They were contacting attorneys and seeing if they had any recourse whatsoever. Attorneys were finding all they had to do was go to the plan sponsor and look and see how the plan was administered, and they had themselves a case. As a matter of fact, in 2008, a Supreme Court ruling actually allowed that just one plan participant could now sue a plan trustee, plan administrator, or plan sponsor, and not have to collect and round up a big civil action case, a class action case, to form some sort of lawsuit and receive some sort of reward back. So now one person within a 401k plan can now sue one of these three roles. It's a big deal. It's not going away anytime soon. Many people expect that the next time the market has any kind of serious correction, we're going to see these lawsuits again. The other important point I would make right here is that last year, ERISA came out with their full fee disclosure guidelines that basically says participants have the right to see all the plan expenses that may have been hidden from them in the past. So you will see quarterly statements look a lot different than they did years ago. You're going to see every single expense, every single fee that your investment company may be incurring and charging the participants for. And this, as well, many see as is going to be a reason why there's going to be more lawsuits going forward. So what does that mean for businesses that are offering 401k? It means that you need to have your plan evaluated to see if the costs within your plan are commensurate with the service being offered. That's all ERISA really asks to do in this full fee disclosure. They want all plans in this country to evaluate themselves to see if those costs are commensurate with the service being offered to participants. And hopefully that makes some sense to you, because the good news is we're here to offer you a plan that does look to have cost reductions and reduced in-house administration and reduced fiduciary liability for you. It's a wonderful way to offer 401k to your employees where no one within your business gets bogged down by the administration simply because you're offering a quality benefit. One other point I would like to make to you with regard to reduced plan costs. I've told you already that we're going to be collecting some information for businesses that are interested in seeing a proposal. With the help of Transamerica, we at Pinnacle are going to be preparing a side-by-side comparison for you so you can see not only all the different administration that's now being transferred over to us, but you're also going to see this reduced cost factor. When you see these plan comparisons, keep one thing in mind. Some of the costs you can clearly see. They are the hard costs of administration, your plan versus the AFSA plan. But there are also what we would call soft costs. If any of your employees within your business are spending any time doing the administration on your current plan, that is costing your business money. If you're familiar with the term opportunity costs, I would present to you that some of those employees doing any work on your 401k, their time could be spent on revenue generating activities within your business. And therefore, if you have them focused on 401k, you've lost the opportunity for them to make you money in another area. So there are costs comparisons that are going to be very clear to you. And then there's going to be other costs you'll have to evaluate and say, if we didn't have to do this work, we could some of this administration work on our plan, and we didn't have to be concerned about any exposure and fiduciary liability and keeping up with ERISA's guidelines and updates, then perhaps we could find a way to be more efficient with our time internally. And that, in a sense, is a reduction in cost. So keep that idea in mind when you're looking to us to receive more information. We're here to serve you. We're here to serve this AFSA plan for years to come. It's going to grow exponentially by the member companies that are using the plan. And that's one other point I'd like to make before I hand out and give you contact information and take questions. I just mentioned to you that ERISA, through their full disclosure requirements, says that all costs within a 401k plan have to be commensurate with the service provided to your participants. Our commitment is to provide a greater level of service to your 401k participants than they had before when they were using the plan that you currently sponsor. Now, it's one thing for a TPA and an investment company to promise a higher level of service before they actually start doing the work. But I will get you to think of one thing. Our organization is focused on the bigger picture, the bigger plan, the AFSA plan. So if you have a plan, for instance, with your 15, 20, 30 employees, whatever that may be, our commitment to serve the overall larger plan is going to translate very well in our service to your plan because you're part of a bigger plan and part of a bigger commitment that we have for the service. So think about that. Again, we want to be doing the cost comparisons for you so you can clearly see the differences in using the association's plan versus your own. To receive a no-cost proposal, contact me, John Hirschenberg, at 817-300-5539. Jeff will be happy to get this contact information out to you as well. It's on the AFSA website, too. I'm not a one-man shop. Pinnacle is a large organization based out of Florida that does all the TPA administration work. My counterpart internally, his name is Trey Galuppi. He's also on this call, and he's committed to having a high level of service on this plan, too. You can also reach me by email, john.hirschenberg@pfslink-e.com. And we can certainly take a look at your plan, give you the information you need to make a good decision. So to receive that no-cost proposal, call me or email me. You may also be looking for more webinars throughout the year. We're probably going to set something up with the existing companies that are going to be using the plan for 2014, kick around some best practices associated with 401k, and just in general provide you more quality information as we go through this. I would like to, as we conclude this webinar, I did promise Jeff and Steve that we'd keep it to 30 minutes, and now we'd like to open it up for questions. So I know several of you are out there, and you may have a question or two that might apply to your particular business or your 401k. So please go ahead and give us a question or two. Well, if there's no other questions at this time, again, we offer our contact information out there. You're going to be seeing us throughout the year, and looking forward to helping you make these decisions, evaluating your own plan, taking a look at what the AFSA plan has to offer. You may also want to use us for nothing more than to give you an idea of what the current costs are in your plan. Some of the full fee disclosure information coming from investment companies is quite lengthy, and we can certainly help you dig through some of that so you can have the information at your fingertips and make a quality decision. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Yes, sir. You have a question?
Yeah, this is Jeffrey Dunn, Carolina Fire Protection in North Carolina. I have a question.
Hi, Jeffrey.
It's my understanding, or at least I'm being told that by my current plan provider, that the government requires that they get in front of our employees once a year to talk about the existing plan and any upcoming changes or whatever. And then they meet with this guy one-on-one. I'm not part of that. I mean, I'm in the meeting, but I don't sit in on the meeting. It's a privately meeting between the employee and the company that provides it. Happens to be Morgan Stanley in my case. How will Transamerica and Pinnacle be able to meet that requirement to get in front of employees?
That's a very good question.
Or is it really a requirement or more of a sales pitch?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I wouldn't, there's no reason to think that the motive for that annual meeting is a sales pitch on the behalf of Morgan Stanley. We just got finished talking about ERISA's mandate that the cost that the participants are paying has to be relative to the service they're getting. So many times an investment organization like a Morgan Stanley, they have some commitments on themselves. If they are charging a certain price for their 401k plan, then they're pretty much mandated to provide and to actually document that they're providing a certain amount of service. Ultimately, as I said,
justification meeting without saying.
That's right. That's exactly right. In other words, they're promoting it from their standpoint of here we are providing service when in actuality they've been told by ERISA, if you're going to charge a certain price, you've got to be in front of employees. You've got to give them the information they need.
Okay, awesome. That helps me.
Yeah, and so the part to your question, Transamerica and Pinnacle are both national organizations. We have people with feet on the ground, all parts of the country, and Transamerica and Pinnacle's commitment is to provide the best communication we can on the plan, whether it's in-person meetings throughout the year at the business owner's request, the webinar information, videos, online website information. So we do a thorough job making sure everyone has the information they need to make a good decision about their investments.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Other questions? Well, again, we'd like to thank you for your time here this morning and be looking for us and more information. But certainly contact us if you'd like us to put together a comparison between the AFSA plan and your existing plan.